Do we have a little bit of a slight for our right tackle?
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's a brand new week, everybody. Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Matt Derry with you. It's Monday, June 10th into Tuesday, June 11th. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Shout out to our everydayers who are out there that watch or listen to the show each and every day, whether you're on our YouTube channel, whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That includes a couple of everydayers. I got a shout out today that I met this afternoon at Body Bing Tanning in Troy. I was at their ribbon cutting with the Troy Chamber of Commerce. Dominic D'Amico and his brother, Paulo D'Amico. Great guys. Dominic was is a listener. He checks us out on Locked On Lions. His brother's a great dude as well. So shout out to Body Bing Tanning, both in Shelby Township and in Troy. But thanks to our everydayers who hit us up, whether it's on Twitter at Derry Speaks or at Locked On Lions, Matt Derry Facebook fan page. And again, those of you watching and subscribing, please do that. Hit that subscribe button on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Locked On Lions today brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers are getting $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Thanks to everybody for listening and participating all of last week. We had some great participation, whether you checked out our guests or whatever else. We had a ton of discussion when it came to minicamp, mandatory minicamp. That's now done. Some OTAs going on this week down in Allen Park, but most of the veterans have been excused and now are kind of on a little bit of a vacation until we get to training camp coming up next month. We are closing in on that. This week, Mike O'Hara is going to join us. Lions writer legend, Detroit News, DetroitLions.com, beat writer for 47 years covering the Lions. Mike O'Hara today was his last day in Allen Park. We will talk to him on Wednesday and get his thoughts on the team and on retirement and say goodbye to Mike, who's a fantastic dude. Mike O'Hara, formerly the Detroit News and DetroitLions.com, going to join us on Wednesday. Tomorrow, we'll check in on the Bears. What's going on with the Bears? The cuddly Bears. Oh, everybody loves the Bears and what they did in the offseason, right? The Bears this and the Bears that. Well, we're going to talk to Lauren Cox, host of Locked On Bears. We'll do that tomorrow on the program. On the show today, we got to get into the PFF offensive tackle rankings. Penei Sewell is not number one. We'll tell you who is. Latest Super Bowl odds are out from our friends in Vegas. Also, the Lions have reportedly signed a new linebacker. And just another reason why the NFL is king. You've been watching the NBA Finals or falling asleep watching the NBA Finals. All of that coming up today right here on Locked On Lions. Thanks again for making us your first listen. All right, so we've gone through a lot of the PFF rankings. We've talked about quarterbacks and receivers and linebackers, cornerback. Lions had a couple in the top, top 22. Carlton Davis and, of course, Brian Branch were up there. Branch, I believe, was 13 and Davis was 22. As far as offensive tackles go, you take a look at the Pro Football Focus offensive tackle rankings. The top 32 are written by Zoltan Bude, who writes for PFF.com. We love our friends at Pro Football Focus. You know that. Diamond Dave Salfaro and the crew there do a fantastic job. We've had our issues with some of their rankings, but that's what it's all about. Talking about it, arguing about it, Trevor Sikkema ranking Goff 16 and quarterbacks and all that stuff. But as far as the PFF offensive tackles go, Zoltan Bude has Trent Williams of the 49ers, their left tackle, number one. All right. At number two, I don't have an argument with that. Trent Williams is a future Hall of Famer. Trent Williams is the gold standard at the position, as was written by Zoltan. But I would have had Penei Sewell at number two. I think Sewell is that good, that nasty. But instead, Tristan Wirfs of the Tampa Bay Bucks is number two on this list. Of course, went from right tackle to left tackle last year. He had the second highest pass blocking grade and finished with a top 5 overall grade at 83.0. Now, again, that is 9 points lower than Penei Sewell, whose overall grade was 92.8. But Sewell comes in at number 3 on this list. Boudet writes, quote, Sewell showed significant improvement during the 2023 season as his 95.1 run blocking grade and 92.8 overall grade ranked first at the position. However, because his pass blocking grade ranked outside the top 10, he finishes third in this ranking. If you look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I watch Buccaneers tape or Lions tape. I rewatch the games. We get it. I want to make sure I'm on top of things for this show each and every day. This is Locked On Lions. I don't watch a lot of Bucs tape. Tristan Wirfs has always been considered one of the top tackles in the NFL. He's a good football player. But Penei Sewell, his overall grade was 92.8, and Wirfs was 83.0. So I'm sorry, but Penei Sewell graded out 10 points higher. How can he be any lower? Just because his pass blocking grade was outside the top 10? Penei Sewell is a damn good pass blocker and an unbelievable mauler as a run blocker. I don't see any other than Trent Williams, who's been around, who's just been dominant every year. You cannot put Tristan Wirfs ahead of Penei Sewell based on his pass blocking grade. The overall grade speaks for itself. It's 10 points higher than Wirfs. So again, they take the run block grade, they take the pass block, all that stuff. But no, I'm not buying that at all. Christian Darrisaw at 4 for the Vikings. Jordan Mailata of the Philadelphia Eagles was 5th. Lane Johnson of the Eagles was 6th. Tyron Smith of the Jets, 7. Laramie Tunsil, 8. Rashawn Slater, 9. And Colton Miller of the Raiders at number 10. So with Penei Sewell not at number 1, but I would have put him at number 2. He's down at 3. I'm not going to go, too crazy about it. But let's get into this for a second. Taylor Decker made the list. And to be quite honest, if you asked Lion fans, is Taylor Decker a top 20 tackle in the NFL? I think they would say yes. Is he a top 15 tackle? I think you would say maybe. On this list, after Colton Miller at 10, you've got Andrew Thomas of the Giants at 11, Teron Armstead of the Dolphins at 12, Taylor Moton, Lansing's own, at 13, Carolina Panthers. And then at number 14, Taylor Decker comes into the mix, ahead of guys like Morgan Moses, Garrett Bowles, Zach Tom, Bernard Raymond, Braden Smith of the Colts, Ronnie Stanley, Jake Matthews, Brian O'Neill of the Vikings. Taylor Decker comes in number 14. The author writes, quote, although he has failed to reach the elite level at the position, Decker has become one of the most consistent left tackles in the NFL. As a result, he even finished top 10 in PFF grade for the first time in his career, as his 81.1 overall grade ranked 9th at the position and was the 3rd highest grade of his career. Taylor Decker had a really good season last year. He was healthy. He was solid. He's in the last year of his contract, and I don't want to mess with the offensive line, and I don't want to mess with the locker room. When they won the division last year and Dan Campbell called all the guys up to the front of that room, he calls up Taylor Decker. Taylor Decker has been with the Lions as long as anybody. Jalen Reeves-Maven has had a couple of stints. We know Frank Ragnow has been around. We know last year Will Harris, who's not back this year, but Will Harris has been around. Taylor Decker is your vet. Taylor Decker has been here since he was drafted 2 regimes ago. He's a really good football player. And putting him at number 14, I think is awesome. I think he deserves it. You rarely hear his name called. Why? Because he gets the job done. So last time you remember Jared Goff getting hit from behind and fumbling on just a regular 5, 7, 10-step drop, whatever it is. You don't. Because Taylor Decker takes care of the other team's right defensive end or edge. We were so concerned last year about the Niners and oh my gosh, and the NFC Championship game and, What are they going to do against Bosa? And what are they going to do, against all those edges that the Niners have? And Jared Goff was pretty clean the whole game. Taylor Decker just handles himself. And going into the last year of his deal, I'm sure he's going to want to get paid. I know he's in his 30s, but I want Taylor Decker to finish his career here. Yes, the Lions could eventually put Gio Manu at right tackle, move Sewell over to left. I don't want to mess with that. Penei Sewell is the best right tackle in the game. Leave him there. Taylor Decker is a top 10, or, on this list right now, if you're going right or left tackle, Taylor Decker at 14 means he's a top 5 or 6 left tackle in the game. Top 10 at least. Most of these guys, again, Trent Williams, a left tackle, Tristan Wirfs is a left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, left tackle, Mailata. All right, so, Johnson's a right tackle. Smith has played both sides. Tunsil's a left. Slater is a right tackle, I believe. You got Joe Alt now, too. Decker's a top 10 guy at his position at left tackle. I love that he finished top 14 in this entire tackle list. Keep him around. You want Taylor Decker on this team, period, end of story. And I love that he's getting some dap from our friends at PFF. All right, coming up next, latest Super Bowl odds. Where are the Lions to win it all? We will tell you next, right here on Locked on Lions.
Today's episode of Locked on Lions is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and much more, and you can bet on it all over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. So go and find a heavy favorite somewhere, put $5 down. If you win with that heavy favorite, not only do you get the winnings, small winnings, from that $5 bet, but you also get $200 in bonus bets. That's $200 that you can use to bet on everything from finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. You can get in on player props as well. How many points will a certain player score? How many pitches will a certain pitcher throw? How many hits will a certain player have? There's a ton for you to check out over at FanDuel. It doesn't get any better, especially here in summertime. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add big wins to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
Back on Locked on Lions, a Monday edition. Lauren Cox, Locked on Bears, will join us tomorrow. Mike O'Hara, legendary Lions beat writer who covered the team for over 45 years and is now retiring today. He's going to join us on Wednesday right here on Locked on Lions. Again, if you're new to the program, welcome. Thank you for being here. Tell your friends. Please subscribe on our Locked on Lions YouTube channel. We just talked a little bit about power rankings. What about Super Bowl rankings? Where are the Detroit Lions when it comes to what Vegas thinks are the best chance for this Lions team to win the Super Bowl and do something this organization has never done? As far as Super Bowl 2025 odds out in Vegas right now, the reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs are a plus 600 to three-peat. I don't know how you argue that. We saw last year in week 1, the Lions took down the Chiefs in Kansas City. Chiefs just find a way to win. Patrick Mahomes finds a way. The defense is as good as it's ever been. So Kansas City at a plus 600, not a surprise. Coming in at plus 650, the San Francisco 49ers. They're bringing everybody back, making one last run at it. Ayuk, Debo, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. It's a star-studded cast out in San Francisco. And the Niners, not a surprise, a plus 650 to win the Super Bowl. What about the Lions? Are they number 3? No, they're not. Vegas says the Baltimore Ravens are the third best odds to win it all at a plus 1,100. They've added Derrick Henry. Yes, they lost Patrick Queen, Kevin Zeitler, now a Lion. But they got Kyle Hamilton back, Zay Flowers, another year with Lamar. Excellent coach in John Harbaugh. Ravens come in at plus 1,100 to win the Super Bowl. Up next at number 4, the Detroit Lions, plus 1,200 to win the Super Bowl. This from USA Today. Things have never looked brighter in Detroit. The Lions are coming off of their first conference championship appearance since 1991, and we're 30 minutes from their first Super Bowl appearance last year. Looking ahead to 2024, there is so much promise with the young players they've added to their roster in recent years. Quarterback Jared Goff, 29. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 24. Penei Sewell, 23. All signed big contract extensions this offseason to keep them around through their respective primes. Meanwhile, running back Jahmyr Gibbs and safety Brian Branch look like possible stars heading into their sophomore seasons. Edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson has lived up to the hype too. Detroit has a very bright future and hope to make another deep playoff run this year. You know who we never mention on the show? We never mention Jahmyr Gibbs, ever. We'll have to do the running back list this week from PFF, but Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, I rarely mention. We talk so much about fourth wide receiver and what the Lions are going to do to replace Josh Reynolds with sort of J-Mo moving up a spot. Raymond will be back. We know about Amon-Ra. We don't talk about how Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a real threat in the passing game this year and how he and David Montgomery last year were some kind of duo. We never talk about them. Jahmyr Gibbs may end up becoming a gigantic stud. Christian McCaffrey just got a big contract extension from the Niners. And I saw Louis Riddick the other day said the next running back that's going to get paid big, Riddick said it's Jahmyr Gibbs. And again, a lot of running backs don't get that second contract or third for that matter. But the Lions plus 1,200 are the fourth best odds of winning the Super Bowl. Up next, you got the Bills, Bengals, Texans, and Eagles all at plus 1,400. The Packers plus 1,600. Dallas at plus 1,800. And here's a joke. The Jets at plus 2,200. Can we stop with the Jets? Oh my God. I just don't see it. Dolphins plus 2,500. Falcons plus 2,800. Bears and Rams plus 3,000. Higher odds than the Browns, Chargers, and Steelers, who are at plus 4,000. And the Jags and Colts. Man, the Bears? Bears higher than the Colts? Higher than the Seahawks? The Jaguars? Wow. Vegas loves the Bears. That's crazy. Where are the Vikings? The Vikings are plus 8,000, tied for 23rd. Has anybody seen the Vikings' new Winter Warrior white alternate uniforms that they're wearing this year? I got to be honest, they are sweet. Those Vikings all whites with the white helmets are sweet. Check those out. Go on the internet and look at Google that. Those are awesome. Very impressive. Shout out to the Vikings. All right, very quickly. So the Lions have the fourth best odds to win the Super Bowl today, according to Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network. And actually, it's just been made official. The Lions have signed, so it's not, it was, Pelissero had it first. The Lions have signed linebacker Ben Niemann to their 90-man roster and released linebacker Steel Chambers, ex of Ohio State. That's a great name, Steel Chambers. He would be on the all-name team. Ben Niemann is now a Detroit Lion, 6-year NFL veteran and another Iowa linebacker, joining Jack Campbell. Niemann has started 21 games in his career when undrafted out of Iowa. First 4 years with the Chiefs, won a Super Bowl. Then recently, Ben Niemann was with the Arizona Cardinals in 2022. And then last year with the Broncos, started off on their practice squad and then played the last half of the season on the active roster and was a very, very good special teamer. So the Lions already at linebacker have Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, Alex Anzalone, Gaines Media's own, Malcolm Rodriguez, Jalen Reeves-Maybin. So now Ben Niemann will get an opportunity. Again, practice squad guy with the Broncos last year, very good special teamer. And his PFF grade last year was a 79.1 on special teams for the Denver Broncos. So an interesting pickup today for the Lions. Veteran linebacker Ben Niemann joining an already crowded linebacker room for your Detroit Lions. All right, coming up next, I always say it. NFL is king. We talk about Super Bowl odds. We talk about how everybody watches the Super Bowl. And when it was Chiefs Niners again, even though there were some Lion fans that didn't want to watch it. Man, the NBA Finals have been a total dud so far. We'll get into that coming up next. All right, everybody. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have you turned down the volume with all that shouting that goes on? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. Excuse me, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every single day to bring you the biggest stories without all of the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm back on Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We crave football, right? We absolutely love it. I just saw the other day, I think the Stanley Cup Finals, Game 1, got they average like $3.1 million households or something like that. And we all know that the hundreds of millions of households that watch the Super Bowl every year. And a lot of times when people do the rankings of professional sports, this is not an NFL versus NBA debate. NFL is number one. We know that. NBA is usually number two. All right, it's a very popular sport. It's driven by superstars. People are still buying LeBron jerseys. People love, I was watching the finals the other night, and Larry Bird jerseys were still in Boston, even though he hasn't played in 40 years. Luka, all of these superstars that are around the league. Jokic, there's a lot of interest in NBA basketball, and with free agency and LeBron and Bronny and Danny Hurley, and he's not going to the Lakers now. He's staying at UConn. The NBA is always pretty much top of mind, and people are interested in the sport. All right. Charles Barkley and the folks on the inside the NBA on TNT, very, very popular. But let me tell you something. I miss football now more than ever, not just because, and look, in baseball, I'm a big baseball fan, but number one, I can't even watch the local Tiger. I can't even watch the Tigers in my house because I have Xfinity, which is ridiculous. We've gone like a month without watching the games. I'm a big Guardians fan. I watch every game, but I know I'm in the minority when it comes to baseball. Stanley Cup Finals, hopefully the game, I think tonight, Game 2, Florida and Edmonton is exciting, but do they have any fans in Florida? Edmonton, hey, God bless them. The NBA Finals, the first two games have just really been boring. And really the entire NBA playoffs. And I love basketball. Worked for the Pistons for 13 years. I love it. But I want drama. I want to see a last second shot. I want to see a close game. I want to see hard fouls. Something came through my phone today on my reels or on TikTok or whatever. Rambis getting clotheslined in the 86 finals or 87 finals, whatever it was, by Kevin McHale. You guys remember that? Kareem outlets it to AC Green. He fires it ahead to Rambis, and Rambis goes in for a layup, and Kevin McHale clotheslines him at the old LA Forum, Great Western Forum. And a fight breaks out, and it's like, man, Celtics Lakers, like you never miss that. How many of you, show of hands, are like, oh, it's appointment viewing for Mavs Celtics? I turned it on at the end last night, and the game was pretty much over. Like, yeah, they got it down to 6, but then at the end, the Celtics held on. Like, it just doesn't move the needle for me. Whereas, yes, when the Lions lost to the Niners, there was a part of me that was like, I don't even want to watch the Super Bowl because I was so upset that Detroit blew that game against San Francisco. But I wasn't going to miss the Chiefs and Niners. I wasn't going to miss Patrick Mahomes and going up against that San Francisco defense and Shanahan v. Reed and will Bosa be able to get to Mahomes? And what about McCaffrey when he touches the ball, man? It's fun. And this NBA Finals, the first two games, I mean, as anybody, especially here in Detroit, where quite honestly, the NBA is at a low point, unfortunately. Is anybody paying attention to this? Because it's been a snoozer so far. And most of the playoffs have been boring. The Celtics and Pacers played some interesting games in the Eastern Conference Finals, but Boston swept them. Boston hasn't lost a road game yet in the playoffs. Like the most exciting the NBA playoffs got were the Knicks games. You know, the Knicks in the first round with Brunson. The Knicks and the Pacer games were kind of interesting. But, man, it's been a dud of an NBA playoffs, which means, again, we wait and wait and wait for football. We can't wait. Can't wait to get to the NFL season. And I know how fired up Lions fans are. Like I said, ran into Dominic today over at the tanning place, and it's like people want Lions content. People cannot wait for the Lions season to start, and that's what it's all about. All right, Lauren Cox, Locked On Bears tomorrow. We will get an update on what's going on in Chicago and if this hype is real. We will do that tomorrow. Mike O'Hara will join us on Wednesday. The recently retired Mike O'Hara from the Detroit Lions, from DetroitLions.com, and covered the team for 47 years. That's pretty remarkable. Thank you for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. We're back again tomorrow.